watch this video and I'll be right back. This one's gonna make you think, especially black people, especially black women.
We never died in slavery. They didn't kill us. They didn't take everything from us. Otherwise, you and I wouldn't be sitting there having this discussion. They did break up the family as white people know family to be. They did not break up the family as black people know family to be. Because the white woman would have said, he took my child. The black woman would have said, they took our child. You understand? So whatever plantation that baby going to, the women is just waiting right there for her to be her mama. No questions asked. And that mama who just lost her baby is waiting there to take in the next child that is stole and sold from the other to be her mama and to be her daddy. And we practice family the way we practice family, not predicated on genetic and bloodline, but predicated on spirit and necessity. That child needs parents. That child needs love. I am parent. I am loved. I belong to the child. The child belongs to me.
Now I know a lot of black women that are watching this video are like shaking their head, right? You're watching the video saying, yup, where do you think we get that from? I don't know how many times you see kids playing outside, and as a black woman, if I see something going on, I'd be like, hey, you know, I treat them just like my own. Just like my own. It's like automatic. I could be at the park, don't know these children, and I see something, I go straight to mama, being a mama. Just straight doing it. These were survival tactics that our ancestors learned and passed it down to us unknowingly. That when we see a child in need, we immediately go to that child. Because that type of energy, that type of response is in our DNA. Whenever we see a child in need, they are me and I am them. That's just how it is. And this is one of the reasons why we do that. I cannot imagine having a child and it be ripped up right out of my arm. But I think there might have been some solace, just a little bit, knowing that wherever that child was going to go, there were going to be black women there to take care of the child. Because that's what you do. That's what everybody does. The way that black people were able to adapt to such torture, cruelty, and hate, and still rise. You will never break us. No matter how many times you try, you will never break us. That is also in our DNA. Remember, diversity equal power. We can change the world when we work together and protect black women. Until next time.
Is we try to solve our political and economic problems with religious philosophy, and it hasn't served us well. The reason we pray for our leaders is because that's the religious influence. God sent Abraham, God sent Jesus, God sent Moses, God sent Muhammad. You see that? So even when we come into the secular world, we're still using religious beliefs to help us solve our secular problems. You can't do that. You can't wait on God. First of all, even if you're waiting on God, those prophets were hundreds of years apart. Right. Some of them were hundreds of years apart. Mm-hmm. So if you are going to follow that, that means you ain't getting another Dr. King for another 300 years. We can't afford that. So we have to wake up. And I have no issue with religion. I only have an issue with how religion can be used by some people to solve certain problems, right? As long as your religion doesn't blind you to the realities that black people face, I don't have an issue with it. But I will say that we have been misserved, not just church. When I say church, I'm speaking collectively of all black religion, because I believe all black religion has kept black people from really approaching their problems with the urgency that it needs, because we're always expecting someone else to come and solve our problems for us. And that's why it was so easy for us to segue from the plantation to the church, because both of them have an external locus of control. On the plantation, the slave master is responsible for you. In the church, Jesus is responsible for you. When do we become responsible for ourselves?
That's deep.
Anything that teaches you that your solution has to come from outside of you is not on your side. Religion teaches you that the solution has to come from outside of you.
A lot of people think that the enslavement of African people was only down south. That's not true. The largest plantation in the 13 colonies at one point in history was in Brooklyn, New York. And you know that area down there, down by Battery Park, where they used to bring the ships into that area, the port. And they would dock the ships, and they would bring the Africans up out the ships, and they would walk them across to be sold. However, what they did was, because they couldn't sell all of them, they used to put them in different prisons along this particular path. And then they would march the Africans that they were ready to sell down the street called Wall Street, down into a place we today call the New York Stock Exchange. African people were the first stocks and bonds sold on the stock exchange. There's a movie by Bruce Willis that will show you the prisons that are underground the stock exchange building.
They told us slavery ended in 1865, but they didn't say what came next was just slavery in disguise, because what replaced the whip was a pen, a ledger, and a lie called sharecropping. My uncle once told me something I'll never forget. He said the landowners wouldn't just underpay black families, they would lie to them. At the end of the year, they'd say, "You didn't break even, you actually owe us." Even after working all year in the fields, planting, picking, and pushing their bodies to the brink, these families would be told they were in a deficit. What did that mean? They'd have to work it off for another year, and the next year, and the next. That wasn't freedom. That was financial prison. They called it sharecropping, but what it really was economic enslavement. And let's talk about what they paid them. Not in real money, but in plantation scrip. Money only good at the landowner's store. So you couldn't build, you couldn't save, you couldn't leave, because everything you earned went right back to the person who controlled you. Sound familiar? Now look at today. You got systems like welfare, Section 8, and food stamps, which are supposed to be temporary, but often become permanent ceilings, because the moment you try to earn more, they threaten to take it away. You finally get a raise, and now your rent goes up. You try to save, and they say you're no longer eligible. It's the same game, new name, keep you dependent, keep you down, keep you out of the wealth building conversations. While our people were stuck in the cycle, white landowners were stacking generational wealth. They passed down land, power, and privilege. We passed down survival strategies and trauma. And that's why today we still see the wealth gap so wide and so intentional. So don't let anybody tell you just work hard. Our people did work hard for centuries, and they were still told that they owed debt that they didn't create. But today we know better. And because we know better, we can do better. We don't want plantation money. We want profit, property, and power. We don't want survival. We want legacy. And we're not asking for a seat at the table anymore. We're building our own table on land we own with wealth we control. Because this time, the harvest belongs to us. Now drop a black fist in the comments and share with someone who needs to know this Black History gem.